Hi guys, so welcome to our Captain's Media Conference. We've got Duane Vermeulen and Mzwandile Stick. We're going to start off with other English questions, and then for the last 10 minutes or so we'll go to Afrikaans and isiXhosa. Alright, first questions guys.
Duane, the quality of your team is really good, but a lot of new combinations. Just how important is gelling as quickly as you can? Or is it a case of keeping it fairly simple?
Yeah, I think obviously there's some new combinations like you're saying, but this squad came a long way. We've had 3 weeks of camp and stuff, so the guys been working together quite well, and I think the coaches would like to see the guys gelling and having a top performance out on Saturday. Obviously, there's a couple of guys that travelled ahead, but we need to see what the guys back home can do, and what we can deliver on coming tomorrow.
Duane, with it being a World Cup year, is there a bit more of a geest in the camp, for a lot of, quite a few of the guys who are more, let's say, fringe oaks who may be trying to push for places on their plane to France? And is there a bit more of a mood in the camp than in normal years?
Yeah, I would think so. I think obviously the big thing is everyone's pushing for a spot. You might look at it in a different way and say there's certain guys who's nailed down their positions, but from our side as players, everyone's still pushing for a spot and pushing for a starting spot, and not just starting spot, but getting selected for the World Cup squad. So I think there's a good mix of what you mentioned, fringe players and guys who's regular starters, but everyone's pushing one another to become better players, and to play together as a whole, and the team together. So I think there's a good vibe in the squad, and everyone's enjoying it.
Duane, just talking about that pushing for spots and looking at next week. Obviously, part of the team has already gone to New Zealand, and actually quite a few of the guys in the team are going to be in the starting lineup for the All Blacks test.
Do you know the team, Steve? Do you know the team?
So anyway, what I'm trying to ask is, you've probably been in those teams where guys kind of almost have their own individual ambitions. How difficult does that make the job for you to try and make sure that everyone's kind of like on the same page in terms of, if we play well together, things might actually work out for everyone?
Yeah, I think our big thing is we can't look too far ahead. I think the main job is tomorrow and playing Australia, and that's our focus. We can't focus on anything else that's happening in the future. We can only focus on the now, and as a team and this squad that's playing tomorrow, that's what we set out to do. So whatever happens will happen, but we've got a plan, and we need to execute our plan, and if we execute our plan, we'll the players will be happy and the coaches will be happy, and that's the most important thing. And then obviously from there on, it's a knock-on effect, to go into the next game, and the coaches will make their decisions on who to pick, who starts, who's on the bench, who doesn't play. That's all up to them, but it's also up to us on our performance tomorrow.
When earlier in the season, just before the test season, there were some articles talking about you as defence coach and maybe writing a victory or two. Do you feel that you've got a bit of a point to prove tomorrow?
I kind of look 32, don't I? So I'm still keen on playing. And Brendan, my thing is I want to contribute as much as I can. If it's on the pitch, playing, if it's off the pitch, supporting the guys, if you're helping younger guys coming through, if I can be a part of this squad. It's obviously the best feeling in the world for me. But that's my personal view. Every guy's got a different view about it. But I would love to contribute in any way I can, and wherever they put me, and and also as long as I can. So if I'm a player, if not, that's up to the guys who make the decisions.
Sorry, Duane, just following on from that, just how are you feeling physically? How's your conditioning? Where do you feel you're at?
Actually, really good. I had a good 2 years at Ulster. I think, obviously, last year, end of year tour, I didn't go on the tour with the Springboks, but they wanted to give younger players like Evan and those guys also opportunity to see if they can play. But also, I had a good chat with Jock, and they said that Ulster is really managing me well, and they want to continue with that. And so that was out in the open, and we were very happy with that. And I don't have any strapping on my body anymore. So for the first time in quite a long while, I'm in a good spot and I'm feeling confident. Yeah.
Stick, I just want to find out under 20s in action this weekend. In the grand scheme of things, in your role, you keep an eye on the under 20s and potential players that are sort of future Springboks and the importance of that pipeline continuing?
Yes. From my side, I'm one of the passionate coaches when it comes to the youth and the youngsters. So even when they played the first game against Georgia, I was in Stellenbosch. I went to watch them, and when they also played now the last game against Argentina, we were in our team room and cheering for the boys. And like I said, I got an opportunity to be in their changing room after the first game. And if you look at the manner of the results in the whole competition, where if teams are not at their best on a day, even a team like Georgia, for example, they almost took that group, and you look at what Italy has done against us, and you look on the other side also, where the first game, the All Blacks, when they played against Wales, could have went on any side. So from my side, I just like the manner of those boys, the way they're fighting. Both games they had to dig deep to win those games against Georgia and also against Argentina. So, but one thing I must be honest about what I see, that there is great potential. I think our future is in a good space, and compliments also must go to their coaches. Bafana, I know he's got a couple of seasons with that team, but I think with what they're doing, and the fact that they're in the semi-final now, playing against Ireland on Sunday, it's something that is massive, and not to. If you look at other teams like France, probably one of the best teams currently in the Junior World Cup. So I do follow it very well, and I must be honest and say I like what I see there.
Coach Stocker, just in terms of, obviously there's a lot of detail floating around between every international team, about opponents, about strengths and weaknesses and stuff. But as a coach, have you found the build-up to this week actually exciting from a coaching perspective? Just because for once you're playing really against a bit of an unknown quantity, you know the players perhaps in spurts, from their Super Rugby and stuff, but how they're going to play against Eddie, what they're going to do, has that sort of like that unknown factor been exciting, a bit of a variation for you guys? I think
you're spot on when it comes to excitement. You most especially in the World Cup year, as a coach, that's probably one of the best year you can coach, because players, trust me, you never lack energy. They're always in a good space. Even Duane next to me hasn't missed any training session for the year so far. So as a coach, you are in a good space, because of, like I said, everyone, like Duane said, every player, they're trying to contribute in whatever way they can do, and for us as coaches, I've seen what the likes of Ketley Arendse and Moody have done last year, And one thing that I like about the squad that we have selected is the balance of experience with the youth. So I think that's something that we're going to need going forward, Like we always said to people, we're honest about it, that what we've done in 2019 to win the World Cup, we mustn't think that it's the same thing. We need the same thing to win this year, We're going to need to come up with new surprises, And I must be honest and say, even with the youngsters that are in our team, I like what I see. And like Duane has said now, some guys, they're getting opportunity. And some guys, it's a matter of some of them are coming back from the injuries, and from my side, I just like the balance in our team. We've got experience. For example, even if you look at 9 and 10, everyone is talking about Mzwandile Stick, but they don't realize that he's got Kobus, who's been around next to him, who's been around in our system, and they've got Andre also, who's next to Lukanya, who's probably one of the best, in the world. And you look at the back three, you've got Vilileru, who's also working with the youngsters. So we had a deep thought before we selected that team. And once again, if you look on the other side of the changing room, they've got 4 new caps, players that are playing their debuts this week. And they've got Vunivalu at wing, who's only got 1 test cap. They've got a couple of players that are still under 10 test matches, And they've also got their own mission. And we don't have control of how they do things on the other side. But once again, a game between the Springboks and Australia, it's always going to be a test match and a proper one, most especially when you play at Loftus. I think that is the area where, as South Africans, we take pride of it. And the fact that it's sold out probably a long time ago, I think the boys are excited. It's a great opportunity for them. Once again, like Duane said, some of the guys they haven't played in a while, so it's great. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
Duane, my question was similar to that. Eddie's come in, you know him as a coach, but not necessarily how he's going to play. They've got a playmaker back in Quade Cooper, a big boot in Hodge. Do you have to be adaptable in terms of how you see the picture in front of you with Australia?
Yeah, I think that's the word. We've got to be adaptable. I think we can only prepare as much as what we know from last year, them playing in the Rugby Championship and then after in the end of year tour. But obviously, like you're saying, Eddie coming in, he selected a couple of new guys, old heads, but guys coming in, which bring a different flavour to the game. Obviously, Quade Cooper has got a lot of skill, he's got a lot of flair, and he would like to also, bring his little circus trick and things that makes him a special player. So, I think for us, we've got our plan, how we want to play. Obviously, they've got their plan that how they want to play, and and then you have to adapt and see what unfolds in front of you. Luckily, we've got some decision making or makers on the field that can say, listen, we've got to get together. Let's focus on this. Let's try something like this. He'd say defense or attack or things like that. So we've got our plans, and hopefully, like I said earlier, we just need to execute it, and and whatever they bring, we need to stop it.
I was going to ask Stalker something similar, just what you make of the composition of the Australian team. I mean, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Where do you see the dangers?
Yeah. If you look at, for example, I'm actually going to go closer to my department. If you look at their backline, they've got very powerful backline out there. And with the experience of Nick White and Cooper in the 9 and 10 position. So we know they're going to be key for the game. But once again, like Duane said earlier on, is that they've got a plan. We've tried to analyze how Australia plays. But the thing is now, I don't think it's going to be 100% according to what we saw from the previous season, because of now you've got Eddie, and we know Eddie Jones, how is he as a coach? He'll always go to the dark places to bring the best out of the players. So we are well aware of this is not a game that's going to be light for both teams. And like I said, with the experience they've got in that team, I think if we are not at our best tomorrow, we are going to have a long day. And I also like the fact that also Eddie is giving also some other players an opportunity in that team, because once again, yes, we want to win the game, we want to win the championship, but at the end of the day, it's a World Cup year also. So you don't always want to play same 23 players week in, week out. By the time you get to probably the first game in the World Cup, probably you won't even have half of your squad, So the key thing is that we have to give all our players in our squad a fair opportunity also to prove themselves that they've got what it takes to go and play in the World Cup. I think that's also what I see on the other side, which is we've got massive respect of Australian side, and I have to be honest and say, yeah, it's a very powerful side, and they've got good experienced players around it.
Coach Stick, obviously you mentioned a bit earlier the combinations. Last year, with the SA team, you experienced exactly how tough it is for a bunch of players to come together who don't really know each other and play together. It's a lot different now with the guys who've been in camp for 4 weeks together, but there are still quite a few unknown combinations. Ori and Jean Plain, Esther Hazen, Corbis and Labok. How have those guys been gelling together, and are you guys quite satisfied with the way they're playing at the moment? And do you think that they'll be, it will be quite a cohesive team tomorrow? Do you think they'll hit the ground running quite nicely?
Yeah, I think we were in the fortunate position that we could work with them for about 3 weeks, where we were doing conditioning and working on their fundamentals. And to be honest, to me, besides Jean Klein, majority of those players in that team, they've been with us for the past couple of years. Some of them have been tested in and out. Some of them had been outside the camp and they proved themselves to come back into our camp. Like you've mentioned, the guys like Marvin Ori, you've got a guy like Van Staden at flank, and which is I'm also very happy now he's also getting an opportunity. Once again, when it comes to the combination that I spoke about earlier on, Duane, Peter Steph, with Sia Kolisi, they've played the World Cup together, and now Sia being out, and then a guy like Marco van Staden getting a chance now to play amongst the best around him. I think it's something that we didn't take it lightly, so we had to make sure. But unfortunately, when it comes to the combination of Marvin Ori and Jean Klein, it's a matter of we know what they can do, so we don't have any concern about their partnership, and we know with what they've done in the past 3 weeks with our squad, and they actually complement each other, with the way they play the game. Marvin Ori, who's got a very smart when it comes to his lineouts, and then you've got next to him a guy who doesn't stop, he keeps on grinding on the field, who's very tough, like Jean Klein. So I don't think we are very, very concerned at all when it comes to the partnership, because of, like I said, if you look around, there's experience around our team.
Coach, you just lightly touched on it, but the Australians are coming to Pretoria with this kind of new slate, a lot of emotion, I think, as well, because they want to prove a point, they want to show that under Eddie, they're going to go start an upward trajectory. Does that emotion, does it make the Australians more unpredictable, or is it something that you guys can exploit tomorrow during the game and maybe get them rattled early on? Because they seem to be coming here with very this emotional mission to topple you guys.
I think it goes back to the point that I've mentioned earlier on about Eddie Jones. When there's Eddie Jones in the changing room, there's always going to be surprises. So we don't doubt at all they're going to be up for the game. We don't doubt at all that even the players will be motivated to prove the point and to Eddie Jones and the rest of their coaching staff. And we know he's a very smart coach, and he understands the South Africans very well because he was working with Jake White in 2007, But one thing is that we as in our squad, we have moved on from 2007, We've tried to tweak things around, So, but I know one thing, that Eddie, he understands our strengths, and the fact that with what he has achieved with England, he's got his thing of going to places and manage to turn things around. So we understand there on that side, the players will want to play for him and the players will be motivated. And you've heard in the past couple of weeks, they've been talking about coming to Pretoria, and changing the history, And once again, they're going to play hard. We've also, in our team, we've also changed history, where we've lost in the World Cup in the first game, where people were saying there's no team that has won it before, but we've managed to turn things around. So anything is possible also from their side, And I think that's one thing I know Eddie will be pressing the right buttons from his players.
Because I'm just curious, why have you struggled against Australia since becoming world champs? Is it simply because we're playing them away? I know it's a different team.
I'll talk about my experience, is that since I've coached the Springboks, we have never lost to Australia at home. And when we went to play away, because of certain reasons during the COVID, where there was a season where we were playing all the games in Australia. And I know one thing for sure, when they're playing at home, the tails will always go up when they play at home. But once again, last year, we've managed to beat them away from home. So, like I said to you, if you look at the quality in that team, if you are not at your best on the day, they've got what it takes to punish any team. We've seen even end of their tour, they've probably lost against Ireland probably in the last 10 minutes of the game, you know. They were always up there, and with the big names they've got in that team, if you look at the guys like Nick White, you've got Hooper, who's one of the best open side flankers in the world, Koroibeti, who's very dangerous, we know how powerful he is. So the thing is, Simnikwe, is that but at test match level, more especially in the top 6 teams, I would even go to say top 8. If you are not at your best on a day, you can lose to any side in the top 8. You see, so we've seen Argentina, what they've done in the past also. So when I look back, I don't think we've played our best games when we lost against them, but I feel like one of the best games we've ever played away from home was the game we played against them in Sydney. And I don't doubt at all they're also going to come with the same mentality to want to change things when they come to Loftus. So, but yeah, once again, I think the only thing we can control is to control how we play also.
Any further English questions? Okay, Afrikaans en Xhosa.
Duane het oor die jaar al soveel bereik, wat beteken dit in die staan van jou loopbaan om die Springbok te volg?
Ja, as kyk, dis lekker om hier te wees. Dis lekker om deel van hierdie squad te wees. Ek bedoel, ek probeer om saam met die span te speel en 'n spanman te bly. So, jy weet, Sia is nog al die pad ons kaptein. Ons almal hoop hy jy weet, hy herstel vinnig sodat hy ons kan aanvoer in die wêreldbeker en ek is net hier om in te staan hierdie naweek. Volgende naweek is daar dalk 'n ander man wat vooruit hardloop, maar ek bedoel dit is ek dink in ons groep waar ons nou is daar ouens wat soveel ouens wat kapteine is en was by hulle clubs dat ons het 'n sterk groep wat leiding kan neem. Daar's klomp ouens wat hulle punte het waar hulle kan gesels en swaan en ek bedoel dit is ons is regtig 'n sterk groep spelers wat besluite saam op die veld kan neem. So jy weet ek is maar net in die bevoordeelde posisie om jy weet om die captain's armband te dra as ek dit so kan sê. Maar ja, ek dink nog steeds op die ander ding is op die ander kant is dis nog steeds ongelooflik om jy weet om 'n kaptein van 'n Springbokspan te wees en jy weet ons gaan definitief daar uitgaan om ons gameplan te speel en ons beste te gee. Jy weet dit gaan nog altyd oor hoe ons span kan opbou tot en met jy weet as 'n ou in 'n wêreldbeker ingaan en sulke dinge, maar obviously die belangrikste ding lê voor en dit is môre, dis Australië. So nie te ver vooruit kykie, maar hoe ons werk na sekere dinge toe.
Gebeur nie aldag dat die kaptein ouer is as die skeieregter op die dag nie, gaan jy hom môre daaraan herinner dat hy die ouer garde respek gee?
En ja, kyk, respek kom van al twee kante af, dink ek. Ek bedoel as jy hou met respek hanteer, sal hy jou met respek hanteer en ek dink dit is waar die grootste ding gaan. Ek bedoel ons ken vir Ben baie goed. Hy het al 'n hele paar toetse geblaas in Swan en weet ons het net alle respek vir hom. So ek dink al gaan dalk nog obviously daar's 'n paar nuwe dinge wat getoets gaan word of wat jy weet gedurende hierdie Tri Nations getoets gaan word. So jy weet ons as spelers gaan moet leer hoe om dit te manage, as ek dit so kan sê.
Duane, jy het voorheen genoem, jy weet dat mense bietjie maar dit is maar 'n bietjie van 'n balancing act, jy weet van jy wil nie te ver vooruit kyk nie, jy weet, maar jy moet ook 'n bietjie perspektief hou en dinge. Ja, ironies genoeg was jy soort van in dieselfde posisie in 2019. Help dit vir jou om vir die ouens te sê in 2019 het ons 'n rugby kampioenskap gewen. En ons kon nog steeds bou tot die wêreldbeker, help dit ook met daai balans in 2023.
Ja, kyk, mens kan nie wat gebeur het in die verlede, het gebeur in die verlede. So jy kan dis goedjies wat jy kan gaan bære en dit is great memories en sulke dinge, maar jy kan niks op dit bou nie. Ek bedoel jy kan net fokus op dit waarmee jy besig is en ons fokus jy weet die groot fokus is in die nou en ons kan ook nie te ver vooruit, dis presies wat jy sê, perspektief. Jy weet maar daar is soos ek sê, daar is baie goed waarvoor ons kan beplan. Maar vir ons as 'n squad moet ons net, jy weet, jy moet dit stapie vir stapie vat. En jou grootste fokus is hierdie naweek. Ons kan weer eens kan nie te ver vooruit nie. Maar weet, as jy nou gaan praat na 2019, hulle het gesê hoor jy ou jy sal nooit op dat nie een span 'n wêreldbeker gewen as hy 'n rugby championship gewen het of so iets nie. En bedoel ons het onsself verkeerd bewys of sulke dinge. So ek dink net die belangrikste ding vir ons is om te fokus op die nou, die game môre en dan van daar af net op te bou en vir ons, jy weet, hoe beter ons elke naweek kan speel en kan bou op van naweek na naweek en klein goedjies beter te maak. Dit is vir ons die belangrikste ding.
Mooi,
Hoe sê dat?
Quanto tempo vocês têm mais o boletim fechar uma foto isso não dá nada que dizer quando é aquela vacina que para Australia quando não dá para ver esse parque uma game ou coisa para o lado do YouTube ou mane ni kele ni kala kwa sana mala pa just like isso diga kana ko ke zo ba kan de ke da ni kala ko kan kala kwa like ni pa ni de o so be so ke chapa
Kanyiso ibaluleke kakhulu into xa sidlala ekhaya. Njengoba ukhumbule kaloku uba kukho ii-challenges ebesizifeyisile lapha ebomini kule minyaka suka kuyo izinto ze-COVID. Singakwazanga ukuthi xa siphuma kwi-2019 World Cup sicontinue sizodlala apha ekhaya. Yabona sachaneka kwelo cala ngo-2020 asadlala. And then 2021 sahamba sodlala away Australia. So khange sikwazi ufumana ithuba sikwazi udlala ne-Australia. The last time sadlala nabo was 2019 apha eSouth Africa. So okokuqala ndivuyela le nto uba sidlalele ekhaya nabo and uzukhumbule kaloku uba kula maqela amabini kule ndaba basingekho nakwi-Super Rugby yabona. So iba special ngoxa ukwazi ufumane i-opportunity udlale ne-Australia because of abenyakeni asikwazi udlala nabo nakwi-Super Rugby because asadlala kwi-Super Rugby. So siyayazi kaloku uba ne-history ekuthethwa ngayo yabona kula maqela amabini njengoba bese kuthiwa abazange baphumelela bePitoli siyayazi uba izaba yi-motivation kubo baze apha ekhaya bazokwazi usibethela apha ekhaya. But kodwa ke wena tata into esinoyikhontrola thina yapha kuthi i-changing room yethu esezandleni zethu. So but into endiyivulayo yona le nto uba sikwazi ufumana ithuba ngoku sidlala apha ekhaya nabo.
Ndithatha noma ku-Super Rugby kuzawuba njani uhoyela namaqhinga mhlawumbi ka-Eddie ngoba kaloku Eddie umbhekwe England mhlawumbi uzaba namanye amaqhinga ngoku phinde bekho abadlali boseni ngamaqhinga kancane njengosisho uba ongcaba ku-Super Rugby iphinde yenza lo mdlalo angathutsha kwakhona.
Wena Khanyiso besenditshilo qha bendiyithethe ngesilungu earlier on uba i-changing room eno-Eddie Jones soloko ukho amacebo phaa because yamazi umntu noko onobuchopho onamaqhinga amaninzi. So asizuthatha kancinci lolo, siyayazi uba uzawuba khona ezibhatini azipresa kakuhle ke players zakhe zizokwazi umdlalela yabona. So siyayazi wena tata uba zikhona ii-surprises abazawuza nazo but kodwa ke sizamile nathi sixilonge iqela lethu sililolonge kakuhle ukwenzela uba whatever ii-challenges ezawuvela ngomso ii-players zethu noko zikwazi uzihandlisha zonke eza challenges. Eyona nto ke siyivuyelayo thina sikwazile nokufumana iiveki ezintathu ukwazi silungiselela abadlali bethu because uzikhumbule kaloku basuka kamaqela amanintsi all over around the world. So la conditioning 3 weeks besinazo kwicamp I think isincede kakhulu wena Khanyiso. So siyayazi uba uzaza namaqhinga wena tata but kodwa ke siwalungiselele lo maqhinga.
Yokugqibela khona inyala encinci umdlalo nje unengxaki kwabana bangqoba lapha xa usithele nje suke nje awujonga ukhwekupha nomalini ibhuka bekubambana nje mali kuba njengoba-ke kumakhasi onxibelelwano umncola bengibangapha xa bejonga umani babona ukhwethu.
Yo hayi ke abona ke xa ethethwa ngabantu mna wena xa ndibona uManili Bhok ndibona uManili Bhok because of udala ndasebenza naye since sadlala kwa-under 20. Quade Cooper naye ndiyamazi and siyamhlonipha njengomfana one-experience but kodwa ke asifuni uyinikela kwabo badlali babili qha lo mdlalo because kaloku uzukhumbule i-service abazayifumana ixhomekeke kula madoda ngaphambili. If bangaba uDuane noKitsoff noBongi bangaphambili abamnika uManili Bhok le bhola ayifunayo kakuhle ene-momentum ingayintsokolo yabona njengokuba nayo uKwade Cooper kala cala yonke le experience anayo if bangaba bazuyifumana le quality ball ayifunayo emdlalweni naye mhlawumbe anganentsokolo but kodwa ke into endiyaziyo ba sithetha ngoku nge-old energy yabona ene-experience against ile energy entsha uManelibhoke and umbonile indlela adlale ngayo ki-URC isizini zimbini ngoku uthe xa efumana ithuba and wabonakalisa abakhoshi abaqeqeshi bamthembile bakeStomas wakwazi uyikhontrola kakuhle iteam yakhe yeStomas. So I think lento masivuyele nakuye apha kabaqeqeshi bethu yabona sibonakalise la nto basimthembile uManelibhoke simphe ithuba akwazi uqala naye against ile i-Australia.
So, this is the last question I got.
Mhlazi uRasi ukhe wathi elona cebo le uqala wamqeqesha i-team 2018 yaye uphumelela kulena indebe yehlabathi. Kodwa njengoba seniphumelela ngo-2019 litshintshe njani icebo?
Simnikiwe ngo-2019 njengokuba nabalandeli bethu babengasinika ithuba basingayiphumelela indebe yehlabathi. Indlela sasisebenza ngayo kula 18 months asinayo yonke i-energy yethu tata kwakuthi make sure uba sifocus e-rugby. Sithi make sure uba ezi ziphoso sasizenza in the past uzukhumbula kaloku eSouth Africa bekumane kuthiwa bakuteni Springboks dlala indlela ethile yombhoxo and idla ngokuthi ebantwini wena sini awunokwazi kaloku uya kwiFormula 1 ngogandaganda tata. Abantu bathi masidlale lo mbhoxo ubalekayo but kodwa ke xa uzojonga ii-players zethu ngelaa xesha I don't think ba i-skills zazo beziphucukile ba sikwazi udevelop igame yethu. Into endiyithandayo ke ngoku sifumene le minyaka besinayo yabona asinazo ne-excuse ngoku and laa nto wayethetha uRasi ngo-2018 ukuba sifuna uphumelela indebe yehlabathi yaka-2023. I think xa ndijonga indlela esiqeqeshe ngalo iqela lethu likhule kakhulu nendlela babuyibukela end of the year tour yethu indlela ebesidlala ngayo and the fact that ba nangoku abadlali abancane sibaphe intoni i-opportunity sibabonise nendlela sibathembe ngayo. Last year uzukhumbule kaloku ngosathi second game sidlala ne-Wales sipha abafana abanjengo-Kettle Arends i-opportunity no-Grant Williams kwakhala ilizwe lonke but kodwa ke xa uKettle Arends edlala no-All Blacks eMbombela Stadium xa ndibona laa mdlalo uba he was one of the best players on the field ngalamini abalandeli bethu ngokuba bayibona le nto sasiyenza ngelaa xesha sasibapha ithuba ne-Wales. So ndiyacinga uba noko indlela esikhule ngayo njengeqela awukwazi ukuthi xa udlala ne-Springboks uthi uyayazi uba yintoni olindeleyo because of indlela ethile ngoxa sifumane opportunities nebhola uba bayihambe ezandleni abadlali bethu esinabo ebaleni banoko baphucukile ngoku-skill sets zabo. So lo nyaka ne-experience esiyibuildileyo etimini yethu buyajonga from team ka-2019 abadlali abaretayirishelayo bayi-3 yayinguBeast yayinguSkull Brits yayingulento uFlow abaretayirishelayo. So majority yaza players esasinazo ngo-2019 ziselapha nangoku. So ngoku asina-excuse and le goal iseyi-1 tata sifuna iphumelele indebe yehlabathi.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Dankie.